Hello and welcome to Tabletop 24. I'm Alan.
I'm John.
I'm Brian.
And welcome to another episode of We'll Play a Game, where we take a look at games we've recently got to the table with a view of how quickly we need to get them back to the table. With ever-growing collections, time can be precious, so we answer the question of, would we play again? Today we have In the Footsteps of Darwin from Sorry We Are French, distributed by Hachette UK. In the Footsteps of Darwin, we are playing junior naturalists that are aboard the Beagle to help Darwin complete his book on the origin of species. On our turn, we will be potentially taking a tile from one of the available locations in front of the Beagle. So, for instance, here I'll be taking this bird, placing it in our journal in the relevant spot, and then we will be advancing the Beagle the number of spaces equal to what the tile was taken, and replenish the tile from one of the face-down stacks. The aim of the game is to be completing as much of this journal as you can to be gaining some of the benefits and bonuses. So for instance here, on this bird tile that I've placed, I gain a compass, which at the end of the game will give us some additional scoring that I'll go into shortly. And then we could potentially place a species on top of one that we've already gained. So if I was to pick up another red or another bird from Asia, I could place this here, which will give me another theory. These theories help us score additional points at the end of the game. So at the moment I'm scoring an additional point because I've got a bird here. If we complete a row or a column in our journal, we will get one of these additional tiles. If at any point we were to pick up a tile with a portrait on it, we will get one of these guides. These guides will allow us to either adjust position of the Beagle forward or backwards one before we was to select our tile, or allow us to clear the row or column in front of the Beagle and replenish it if there's something that you're not really after. So it allows you to sort of mitigate some of the stuff that you're not going to get. At the end of the game, we'll be adding up a number of points that are available to us. So we'll start with the ones that are visible on our tiles. So for instance, we've got points here on the Komodo dragon. We will also then be timesing the number of compasses we've picked up versus visible scrolls on our board, on our journal, and that will give us a number of points. We will also pick up any of these extra 5 points that we've gained from rows or columns, any points that we've gained from theories, and if at any point you pick up one of these prestige icons, which is a crown, you get to take Darwin. He'll move around between the players, and whoever's got him at the end of the game gets an additional 2 points. The only thing I haven't mentioned is there are a couple of special tiles in the game. I think there's about 5 of them in the whole box, which are people, which will go in one of the 3 available spaces. They can't be stacked, so once you fill 3, you've got all 3, and they tend to give a double bonus of some benefits. They're quite powerful, but they're not complete in rows and columns as such. Once you've got through all that, which is also on the handy scoring guide, add up your points. Person with the most points is the victor. And if that wasn't a good enough overview for you, please check out the video that we've got from Aircom, which has got Eleanor from Hachette Games to run through it, and also John on his playthrough there. So check that one out. But with everything being said, I think the game itself is quite light. You've got essentially 5 options on your turn. You can spend a guide to move the ship, replenish the row, or take from one of 3 tiles, and you keep going until you filled up 12 tiles on your board. I think that was the only thing I didn't pick up in the overview. So, yeah, I think it in itself is fairly light, and I think that goes both ways for it. I think it's light, so it's easy to pick up, it's easy to understand, but I think it's also light that you can't make a decision. There's no strategy.
You can't easily plan ahead when it's someone else's turn because the cards change around so much, and so it is pretty much what can I see in front of me. What can I pick from those 3, maybe 6 or 9 if you've got the guide to improve my hand. So it is a little bit of responsive gaming rather than planning gaming strategy, I'd say.
Yeah, you've got the option to move forward or back depending on how many scouts you've got, but it all comes down to watching the person before yours turn and hoping the tile that you want is in range and still there.
Yeah, and most of my game, I remember when I was playing this, is thinking, I want that one. Please move forward the right amount of places. And most of the time that wasn't the case. Occasionally it worked out lovely and I got the tile I wanted.
Yeah.
But it's very much luck at that point.
I think the last game we played of this, there was literally 2 yellows came up through the whole game. And if you've got one of the tokens that you need a corner, you're never going to get it because the yellows are in short supply. I mean, there are several more. You play with tiles that aren't in the box as well, so you're not going to see all the tiles. So that limits to the amount that goes on there.
Picking up on that point, one thing that Adam spotted: these aren't all the tiles that are in the box. There's more tiles that we have to take out for the number of players, and they're random. So it could be the case that all you've got in there is there's no reds in there, for example, and so you're limited on what you can possibly do because of what's in the deck.
Yeah, and it's like with both me and Brian have got the bird theory. I think there's only 2 of each type of theory in the theory deck, so it's quite difficult that without competing for birds, and if there's no birds in the deck because they just happen to be out of the game, that actually you're going to be digging for those birds. You're potentially spending guys to replenish your row to get a bird, and then the bird doesn't come.
There aren't enough birds, so that can be a little bit frustrating. And again, it's all part of the luck, not strategy issue with the game. However, production, it looks lovely.
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, there's plenty of information on the cards in the lovely appendices. Information on the tour, the cruise. Is it cruise? No. Wasn't it
on the voyage of the Beagle?
He was on the deck with a cigar and a cocktail. No. It's beautiful. It's a really well produced. A lot of time and money has been spent to make this look good.
There's a lot of uniqueness. So we've all got a board, and they're all different for each other, and they've all got different pictures behind them relative to what's on the front. So this is all the lizards, for example. The picture of a lizard. This one's the marsupials, and this one's marsupials. So there's a lot of work and thought and effort gone into making this really attractive looking game. Yeah. The artwork is stunning.
Yeah, each of the species is all different. I don't think there's any repeated in here. There's a couple repeated in there. All of the guides are different. All of these publications are different. So I think there's been a real lot of effort put into the production value.
Yeah, and heavy card stock for these.
Yeah, it's a really, 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 really well produced game. And I mean,
no expense spared.
No, and Brian with the box.
Even if you can see the box here, there's pictures inside the box. There's no need for these to be as nice as this in the box.
And that's probably why it's priced. As it's priced.
Yeah, I mean, I think I picked it up for about £35. So it's not even that expensive for the quality of what you're getting. And there's a question here: is it educational? Because you've got this appendix which just has Darwin's travel journal in it, where the beagle went, all of the species that are featured in the game, and a little bit about them, and not necessary from a game in one sense, but nice to have. And I think what we've probably got to really think about this game, and you could probably guess which way we're going to go on it, but I think for the people that are going to love this, it's very specific.
It definitely has a place. It's a good family game. It's a good lightweight game. I'd argue it's a good entry-level game. I've not played modern board games before, but it's not, as John would say, a game.
No.
As we would recognise it.
This bit needs to do more. It doesn't do enough for me to plan any kind of strategy, work out any kind of points, or be conducive to any kind of in-depth, thoughtful gameplay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this either needs to be like 4x4 or different, or the movement of the ship needs to alter somehow. But I don't think there's enough here. Unfortunately, there's enough in the game. It looks beautiful and it looks wonderful, but I don't think there's enough here really to keep me occupied and want to return.
Yeah. I'm very much on the same place, and I think, like as Brian said, this showcases what a hobby board game can be from a quality standpoint. Yeah. From it's a slightly different topic. It's got some really links back to things that people are fairly familiar with. But I think on the bit that it sacrifices is the game part of it, the true sort of the gamer's game, if you will. There's not enough for me to be able to make my decision. I've just got to choose from one of these three things. I mean, this one's quite handy for what I've got. I'm going to take a bird. But if that bird's not there, if it was this way round, then okay, well, I'm just going to take something. And do I look at what everybody else is doing? Do I try and do a bit of hate drafting? And then you get into a game of hate drafting of, well, actually, am I sacrificing points for myself?
Yeah.
Because I'm hate drafting to stop other people getting more points. And at that point, then I don't think that's in the spirit of what this game is. And as Brian said, it's got its place. I think it could well be a new version of an entry level game. It could be something that I would recommend to people to try if they've not played anything in the hobby space before, because I think it showcases what the hobby space can have.
And it's quite quick as well, really, to get through this game. It doesn't take very long at all, really.
Yeah.
So it's almost a filler game, but
it absolutely is. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we were wrecking through it in about 20 minutes at 4 players. So
yeah.
I don't think it's going to stand much more legs than that, even if you're newer to it. I think it's gonna do that. Yes, there's a bit in here of, have we played it enough that we've missed a strategy? And to the sense of, when I say enough, I'm sort of talking the 40, the 50 times to go, now I know where I can start building stuff and linking stuff and try and get some. But I think you've just not got enough decision to push you along that road. And I think maybe, for somebody that's playing with the same set of tiles on a specific player count, you could probably know what's in there. You know what you're going to be digging for. You know what the ratios are. But if you're just playing blind straight out of the box, you're not going to know what's coming up. And I think that could harm your gameplay. So, with all that being said, then, John, would you play again?
No.
You won't play it again?
If somebody pulled it out of the shelf and it was a games night and there was new players there and it was on the table, I probably would play it again. But it's not something I would reach for from my collection to play.
Cool. Right.
I would hesitate to play this again. It's okay, but there's lots more games out there, and I'd much rather be playing them.
And for me, it's also a hesitate to play again, and I think that's because there's not enough in here to make a decision. We're going to have another Hachette game coming up on the We'll Play Again series, so check out for that, because I think we got them at the same time. They're very trying to do similar things, and I think we're going to have a bit of a different opinion on that one. So with all that being said, then, check out other videos on the channel, give us a like and a subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.